La respuesta más lógica que lograba dar esa pregunta resultaba oscura y espeluznante. Quizá la relación entre la humanidad y la maldad fuera la misma que había entre el océano y un iceberg que afloraba en su superficie. La respuesta, the reply.
Yep, the reply or the answer.
Okay, the more logic answer that lograba means realize or succeed.
Lograba dar a esa pregunta.
Succeed to give that answer.
Yeah. So it's saying la respuesta más lógica que lograba dar a esa pregunta. So the most logic answer that it could give to that question.
That it could give to that. Lograr means realize something, succeed something, or arrive something, right?
Yeah, or to achieve something. So for example, tus logros, your achievements. So for example, graduating from university or getting a new job are all logros. They're all achievements. So the most logic answer that she could achieve, or the most logic answer that she can give.
Oh, okay. Resultaba oscura. Results in or caused by? Results in.
Resultaba. So here there's an implication. So you'll notice that Spanish likes to do this a lot. Spanish will sometimes cut out some words. So for example, we could have said resultaba ser. It turned out to be, or it came out to be. Resultaba ser oscura y espeluznante.
So it turned out oscura means black and espeluznante. What does this mean? Something related to the light, luz?
That's a very, very good assumption, but not quite. So when you say oscuro, you translated it as black, but that's not exactly correct, though it's very similar, because black is negro. Oscuro just means darkness. So the absence of light, which can include, the color black and things like that. Espeluznante is a word that means something like frightening.
Frightening. Okay. So the dark and frightening turns out dark and frightening. That gives us.
Yeah.
Perhaps the relation among the human and maldad fuera. What's maldad fuera? Maldad.
La maldad. So maldad is a word that means evil.
Evil. Okay. Perhaps the relation between the human and the evil was the same. The same that had entered among in the ocean and an iceberg. An ocean and an iceberg afloraba that floated in their surface. Perhaps the relation between the human and the evil was the same. It is the same. That is the same that exists between the ocean and the iceberg that floated on the ocean's surface. It means that they're actually the same thing.
Right. And we're going to see that in the next sentence as well.
Okay. A simple vista no parecían lo mismo, pero en realidad estaban hechos de una misma esencia. El agua, solo que en estados distintos. A simple vista, for a simple vision, just no parecían. I know the meaning, but it's hard to translate that in English. Like something like if you look at it out of sudden, or in a very short time.
Exactly. So for example, in English, they might say, exactly, very good. So for example, in English, they might say at a glance, or at first, or similar things like that.
At a glance, they didn't look to the same. They didn't. What's the word for that? They didn't look to the same, or they didn't.
No parecían. They didn't seem or didn't look the same.
They didn't seem to be the same. But in reality, they were made from the same escena, from the same scenery. What's escena? Escena.
That's a good guess, but actually this word is esencia. Esencia. Repeat it with the I.
Repeat it with I. What do you mean?
Yeah, so say the word.
I.
No. Say the word esencia.
Esencia.
There you go. Esencia. So escena is the scenery, but esencia, you can hear the difference. This word means the essence. So in English, it's the same thing. Essence, esencia.
Okay. Essence, esencia. Essential, right? Essence.
Kind of. So they do have the same root, I believe. So yeah, it means that they have the same quality. They have the same
core.
Core, yeah, thank you.
Essence. Okay, but in reality, they're made from the same essence. The water. Essence, the water. Solo que estado distinto. The water. Solo que en estados distintos. They only have different states. It means like they are one is a solid state and another is a liquid state, right? Water.
Very good. So yeah, when it says solo que en estados distintos, they're saying but just in different states.
Just in different.
So as you mentioned, the liquid state, the solid state, etc.
Okay. Al igual que ella siempre había concebido la gloriosa revolución cultural como una gran perversidad. Ahora Rachel Carson consideraba pernicioso un hecho tan normal y positivo como el uso de pesticidas, al igual que ella siempre había. Al igual means at the same time.
Yeah, or for example, we can say just like.
Okay, al igual, just like that. It simply had it always simply. Siempre means always or simple. Always?
Siempre. So always is siempre. While as simple is simple.
Okay, siempre. It's so similar. Always. Just similar that it always had concebido. Concebido means conceive?
Yeah. To concebir algo is to understand something or to look at something or to interpret something.
Okay.
To conceive.
Had conceived the gloriosa. Gloriosa means glory.
The glorious.
The glorious of revolutionary of cultural revolution, like a big perversity. What does this mean?
Yeah, very good guess. Perversity. So the definition of perversity is the quality of being contrary to accepted standards or practice, or a deliberate desire to behave in an unreasonable or unacceptable way. So perversity is something which is perverse. So I think maybe you might have heard that word before.
What does this mean? Could you repeat? Something like this, something like preserve or conserve.
No. Perverse. Perverso. Perverse. Which is, it's something which is unacceptable or something that is
Unacceptable.
deliberately bad or things like that.
It's a mistake.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's the glorious of Cultural Revolution, like a big mistake, perverse.
Mm-hmm.
The perversity. And now Rachel Carson considered pernicioso. What does this mean, pernicioso? What does this mean?
Right. So English has a very similar word. I don't know if you have heard it before. So they say the word pernicious, which means something that has a harmful effect.
Harmful effect, pernicious.
Especially something that is very slow, something that hurts you slowly or in a very subtle type of way. So for example, when you're smoking, obviously that's very bad for your health, but it doesn't kill you immediately. It damages you slowly over time.
Okay. Now Rachel Carson considered the harmful effects on nature tan normal. Consider that it as such a normal harm effect, like the smoking, and a positive, such a normal and a positive pernicious, like el uso del for example, the utilization of the I always forgot the pronunciation, pesticides. Pesticides, Pesticides. Era, por tanto, posible que todos los actos de la humanidad en su conjunto fueran malignos, que la maldad fuera la esencia del hombre y que cada individuo solo la reconociera bajo ciertas formas. Era, por tanto, it was, por tanto, how to translate that? Pretty much.
Yeah, something like that. So it says, era, por tanto, posible que todos los actos de la humanidad, Yeah. So it's saying here it was then possible that
it was possible. No. I mean, how to translate the por tanto? You just skipped the
the word that I had used was then. So in Spanish, you can sometimes see that they also use like words like entonces. So in this case, we can say it was then, or it was in this way. Por tanto.
It was then possible that all of the actos means actions.
Yeah, very good.
Then what is acción?
Also actions, but los actos de la humanidad is in a more general sense than acciones.
Okay, that's all of the actions of the human beings in their conjuntos. En su conjuntos, what does it mean? In their conjunction.
Yeah. So something. Look at the roots of this word. Can you divide this word into its roots?
Congesture.
No. Divide it into the two separate roots.
Two separate roots? Which one? Conjunto? Junto.
Yeah.
Conjunto, together.
Junto. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Okay. And but I still didn't get the meaning of this. Like all of the actions of the human being in there together was
In
really bad.
in their totality.
In their what? Totality.
Yeah, so everything, all of the actions of the humans.
So what's the word? What's the English word? Totality.
That's the one that I used. Technically, the one that looks the most similar would be conjunction, but it's not too typical to see that word being used in that context. So, for example, if we look at the word conjunction, and we look for the definition of this word.
Okay. In their
one moment.
Okay, in their totality was.
Yeah. So, for example, conjunction in English is like, it says, an instance of two or more things occurring at the same point or at the same time. So here what it's basically saying is that it's possible that all of the things that humanity does, just everything in general, fueran malignos. Do you recognize this word maligno?
Yeah, no, it's something bad. I remember. I just don't how to say. I just don't remember how to pronounce that. Like the malignos cancer, something like that means bad and cancer.
Right. Exactly. So I believe I've heard some people pronounce it as malign or malignant, depending on which specific word you're using.
Malign. Okay, it was malign. It just means bad. It was bad. They were bad. Malign.
Exactly.
That's the evil was the essence. The evil was the essence of the hombre, of the man, and that each individual sort of only the reconociera. What does this mean? Recognize? Really?
Yeah.
That recognize under certain format. That the evil was the essence of the man, of the human. The evil was the essence of the human, that each individual sort of only recognize under certain formats. It just means actually each person has the essence of the evil part. It just usually they are under they're hidden.
Right. So it's saying that humanity itself is essentially evil, but that the humans can maybe only perceive this in certain forms or in certain ways. So they don't see everything as evil, they only see some things as evil. So it's kind of like how it was comparing to when we look at the iceberg on the ocean. At first glance, we might think that they are two completely different things, when in reality, they actually have that same essence. So in the same way, when the humans are doing things, all of these things come from a place of evil, but it's possible that the humans maybe only recognize some things as being evil.
Okay. La posibilidad de que el ser humano llegara a alcanzar por sí mismo un auténtico despertar ético resultaba así tan ridículo como imaginar que uno podía despegar los pies de la tierra a base de tirarse del pelo. The possibility of that, that's the human beings llegar a alcanzar. Alcanzar, what does this mean? Alcanzar.
Alcanzar means to reach.
Oh, okay, to reach. The human beings was reaching for the same authentic despertar. What does it mean? Despertar.
Awakening.
Awakening.
Awakening with an A. An authentic awakening.
Authentic awakening. Ético. Ethic. Awakening,
Uh-huh. Ethical
awakening,
awakening. Uh-huh.
ethic, ethic awakening turns out like that. I see like turns out to be like that, to be so ridiculous. Imagine that one could despegar. What does it mean, despegar?
So do you recognize the root here?
Pegar.
Aha, so if something is pegado, what does it mean?
I don't remember the pegar. What does it mean? Pegar means weigh
So
something.
that's a very good guess, but weighing is pesar with an S. Pesar.
Okay.
Pegar, in this case, well, pegar is a very versatile word, but essentially what it means here is that something that is pegado is something that is stuck or something that is attached or something that is connected. So if you are despegando, you are disconnecting, you are separating, you are, in this specific case, lifting.
Good. Okay. Could lifting their feet from the land and the earth to the base of the base de tirarse del pelo. Pelo means hair, right?
Very good, very good.
To the base of the tirar means turn or change the direction.
That's a very good guess, but not quite. So in this case, tirar is another word that has many uses. But in this one, I believe that it's referring to the action of pulling something.
Pulling. Okay, tirar. What is the tirar turn? Girar means girar.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, girar. Tirar means I forgot that. What's the tirar? Pulling. Pull.
In this case, I believe that it should be translated something as similar to pulling.
Oh, okay. Pulling. Lift their feet from the earth to the base of pulling. To the base of pulling from here. What does this mean?
So the way that it's worded can definitely be a little bit difficult for a second language learner to grasp, but essentially it's trying to paint an image here for us, something that we can imagine. So for example,
I got the point.
Dime.
Actually related to a Chinese saying, like it means no one can lift the land by just simply pulling their hair by themselves.
Yeah, exactly. What's the saying in Chinese?
I forgot.
That's okay.
一个人不可能用拔头发来犁地。I forgot. I forgot the formal way of saying that the saying. Maybe I should check. But I remember, yeah, there's I'm not sure if this is really a typical Chinese saying or it's actually from other language, but at least I know there's a saying like that.
Exactly, yeah. You can't lift yourself by your own hair, you know? Like it doesn't work that way. So yeah, that's basically what it's saying here. So yeah, very good. You understood.
Yeah, okay. Necesitaba la ayuda de una fuerza externa. One need the help from an extra force.
External force. Uh-huh.
External force. Externa. Okay. Aquella idea guaría su destino. Destino.
Aquella idea.
Idea guiaría.
There you go. Very good. Continue.
Guiaría su destino hasta el final de su vida. That idea, guiaría, what does it mean? Guiaría means guard.
Not exactly, but that's a good guess. Guiaría would
Guide.
guide. Yeah, very good.
That idea guided its destination till the end of one's life.
So I think here it's talking about her. So it's saying that idea would guide her destiny until the end of her life.
Guide her destiny Guide her destiny till the end of her life. Al cabo de cuatro días, Yebenjie fue al barracón de visitantes para devolverle el libro de Baimulin. Cuando abrió la puerta, lo vio tumbado en la litera, exhausto y completamente cubierto de barro y serrín. Al cabo de 4 días. Al cabo means at the end of the 4 days.
Yeah, very good.
At the end of the 4 days, Yebenjie was barracón. What does this mean? Barracón.
So barracón is translated as like the bunk house. So in English there's a similar word, the barracks. It's spelled kind of like barracón, but essentially it's a place where people sleep.
Bunk house, dormitory.
Something like that. Yeah. Usually for like workers or for soldiers or things like that.
Okay, maybe. So the bunk house of the visitants. What's the English word?
Visitors.
Visitors for devolver. Volver means return, and devolver.
Very good, to return.
Okay, for returning the book to Baimulin when she opened the door, lo vio tumbado. What is tumbado?
Tumbado. So this is kind of a fun word. So tumbar means to knock down, but in this case they just refer to the fact that he is laying down.
Locked down, laying down. Okay. When she opened the door, she saw him laying down on the litera. What is litera?
Litera. So English has a very similar word to this. They might, in English the similar word is litter, but I think that the specific word that they want to use in this context is bunk. So it's like a bed, pretty much.
Bunk. I know.
So many dormitories have bunk beds.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but it's just I never know that that's the English word. Actually, when we when we at high school or even at some bachelor in some university, they also have the similar dormitory. We call them dormitory, as you said. Maybe it's especially for the workers or many soldiers, but we usually call them dormitory. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So oftentimes, like in the West, also they'll say that, oh yeah, I live in the college dormitory or the university dormitory. So yeah, that's also a good word.
The bunk. Exhausted and complete. Completely. What's the word? Completely.
Yeah, very good. Completely.
Exhausted and completely open. De barro. Covered
there
by.
There you go. Very good.
What is barro and serrín?
Barro is in English the word is clay, so it's like a type of mud.
Okay. And serrín, something like dust.
Yeah, very good. Sawdust.
Sawdust. What is sawdust?
Sawdust is the dust that is produced from the wood. So when you're cutting down the wood, it releases that wooden powder. So that's sawdust.
Okay, sawdust. The modern sawdust. El reportero se levantó al acto. The reporter left got up to the action. What does this mean? Just means he got up. The reporter got up. Get up.
Yeah, so I think the acto that is being referred to here is the action of Wenjie coming into the building. So when he noticed she came in, he gets up.
Okay.
That's his reaction, is to stand up, to get up.
Okay. ¿Has estado trabajando? Preguntó ella. Have you been working? Have you been working?
Very good. Have you been working?
Have you been working? Okay. She asked. Llevaba. We can finish this paragraph. Okay.
Okay.
Llevaba tantos días paseándome de brazos cruzados. I arrived so many days paseándome. Paseándome means passing through, went through. So many days. I arrived here and went through so many days of brazos cruzados. Cruzados means some cross. Brazos, what does it mean?
Brazos means arms.
Crossed.
Yeah, so he's saying that I spent so many days going around with my arms crossed, my arms folded.
What is an arms crossed? What he's trying to say?
I think we'll understand more when we read the rest of the paragraph.
Okay, I spent some time. So llevaba, you usually just use this word to describe some state, right? Está.
Right. Yeah, so that can work to describe some states. Usually it can describe a period of time. So in this case, he's saying llevaba tantos días. So I'd already spent so many days.
You already spent so many days. My arm being crossed. Me he dicho que era hora de arrimar el hombro. Ya sabes, el espíritu de revolución. Me he dicho que, they told me, I told you, they told me, okay, they told me.
Me he dicho, me he.
They made me.
Not exactly. So in this case, it means him to himself.
Yeah, him to himself. What does it mean? For me?
So I told myself.
Oh, dicho, yeah. I told myself that it was hora. It is the time of arrimar el hombro. Arrimar, what does it mean?
Arrimar is kind of it means to put something closer.
It was the time to get close to hombro. What is hombro? Shoulder?
Shoulder,
Close to the shoulder? What does this mean? Get close to the shoulder. And the spirit close to the shoulder. And the spirit of the revolution. What does this mean? Close to the shoulder. Close to the shoulder.
Arrimar el hombro. So he's saying to, in this case, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, it seems to me that he's saying that it was time to start taking some action, because when you are with your brazos cruzados, you're not doing anything, when you have your arms folded, you're not carrying anything, you're not holding anything, you're usually just in a kind of defensive sort of position. So he's saying that it's time to take some action, to get into the spirit of the revolution.
So arrimar el hombro means getting some action, get closer to the bandage, taking some action. Maybe I thought it seemed like because there is some bandage at their shoulder, the red band. What's the word for that?
The red band,
And the red band on their shoulder. So I thought let's get it closer to the band, because usually the band means something in the revolution or something.
Right. The band could be a representation of the spirit of the revolution. So yeah, that could be a valid interpretation, I think.
Okay.
It would be interesting to see the Mandarin translation.
Yeah, maybe. But is there enough? Yeah, should be. So, are you doing your work? It was so many days that my arm crossed. 不能总是甩手到处转。It just means that you didn't do anything. Arm crossed.
Andar de brazos cruzados.
Okay, really. Shoulder 得劳动得参加三节合嘛。What does this mean? 劳动得参加 It just means that you should not just hanging around. You should do some labor or do some work.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I was saying, to take some action, to do something.
So is this a typical usage in the Spanish word, in the Spanish sentence? Arrimar el hombro.
Sometimes. It sort of gives that impression, because when we look at brazos cruzados, that implies to us that he's not doing anything, because when you have your arms crossed, that means you're not working, you're not holding anything, you're not carrying or pushing or pulling, you're just standing there with your arms folded, like you're not doing anything. So when he says it's time to arrimar el hombro, to put your shoulder into it, pretty much, it means to get into, to do some action, to do some work, to do some tasks.
Put the shoulder. So arrimar means put shoulder. I remember you said this, getting something closer.
Yeah. So for example, maybe if you have to push some heavy thing, maybe you can push with your shoulder. You're arrimando.
So what's the real meaning of this arrimar? Original meaning?
Arrimar, to make something close.
Make something close. It's pull. So weird. Anyway. Hemos estado en pico radar. We had been in the pico radar. What does this mean? A name?
I believe so. Check the Mandarin one, because I'm not sure exactly what it wants to say.
雷达风我们在雷达风干。Maybe it's a place's name. Radar. Radar, yeah, maybe it means radar. Pico means the peak.
Yeah. So a pico can be the top of the mountain, the peak.
Okay, pico. The radar peak. La vegetación era muy densa. Las hojas podridas me llegaban a las rodillas. The vegetation was so dense, and the leaves could make me la rodillas. What does this mean? Road? Could make me road? Rule?
Not exactly. Rodilla is your knee, so it's the part where your legs bend.
Huh? Legs bend?
Your legs bend at your knee. Knee, knee.
Okay. The legs under the knee, right?
Yeah, so he's saying that the rotten leaves, las hojas podridas, reached all the way up to his knees.
Mm-hmm. Is that rodillas is a kind of food? Mexican food? Tortilla.
Oh no, tortilla is something different. Rodilla is your knee. It's part of your leg.
Is there another word, quesadilla?
Quesadilla. Yeah, there's a lot of foods that end with iya, but that's just because it means something small.
Okay.
But a rodillo, for example, you may know a certain tool called rodillo. We saw it in the previous reading, which is the rolling pin. So, for example, if you're making some bread, you use this rolling pin. And so in a similar fashion, the knee, the rodilla, has a similar function where it kind of goes back and forth, back and forth.
So this word has the roots of roll,
Roll.
R-O-L.
Rodar.
So it means that the leaves could reach to roll around my knee till my knee.
So the root of the knee in Spanish does have to do with rolling, just because that's the action that your joints do. Your joints roll. But yeah, so basically he's saying that the rotten leaves reach to his knees, to his rodillas.
Okay. Temo haber cogido algo al respirar aquel aire. Temo means tema.
Not quite. So this comes from the root temer, to be afraid of something, to fear.
Okay. I'm afraid to. No. I fear to have cogido. Coger to take something. To take something to breathe that air. To breathe that air. Yeah. I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of having taken something from that air. Breathe from that air.
Yeah. So he's saying that he fears he may have contracted something from breathing in that air. So he thinks maybe there's something in that air that can make him sick. Maybe it's too much dust, or maybe it's too much. Since it's rotting leaves, maybe it has mold or something.
Okay. Okay, so we stop here today.
Alrighty, sounds good.